Alright, well I figured I better give you a little shop update real quick here before the sun gets out here and completely washes this out and I lose my energy for the rest of the day. Been absent the last, a few weeks I guess here, month and a half, 2 months ago, something I don't even remember now why. My dad took a fairly nasty fall off of a second story deck, so we've been dealing with that. They live about 200 miles away from me, so I've been making a whole bunch of trips once a week, twice a week, part of the time 3 times a week, either to hospital rooms, rehab centers, places where he could potentially go, him and mom can potentially go. And then in the interim of this, the extra stress going on with it has brought some problems about with my mom too. So we've been kind of dealing with that. Now, that's just what it is, and that's my excuse for not being present here recently. So got that kind of settled. You know, I know everybody's best wishes is with us, and you know, not worth making a big deal in the comment section about it or anything. What it is what it is, and we've dealt with that as best we can for the time being. So anyway, hopefully my schedule is going to get back to somewhat normalcy, if I have such a thing. But anyway, I've been cleaning up around here, and I have had this little milling machine project for several years. I've acquired parts for it, just for the MH. It's the production mill for the little Atlas mill, and I've been collecting parts for this, like I say, for several years now. I've had parts sitting over here and parts sitting over here and parts sitting back there and parts all over the place, and plus I wanted a stand for it to put it on, so I've had materials that have been laying around, either both scrap and some new stuff that I bought. So rather than have this stuff scattered all over, what I've done is I went ahead and built the stand for underneath it, or started the stand for underneath it, so I can consolidate all these parts. And that's what I've got here today. By no means is anything done. The stand's not even close to being done, but it's welded up. It will hold all of the parts for the mill as we move forward. So anyway, I thought I'd show you where we're at. A lot of other stuff that's been going on in the background. I've pretty much finished up the little knurling tool. I've got a little more to do on it, but I just haven't taken the time to edit those videos and get them out. So we'll hopefully get caught up on that over the next couple weeks and see what we can do there. I've been building quite a few tool holders for on the shaper, working on the standard tool holder for the shaper. We've got a bunch of Atlas parts that are in progress. So anyway, like I say, the only reason I started messing with this is just to get everything consolidated, hopefully clean up a little bit more and get things a little better organized in the shop, because we've been going through trying to clean a little bit, throwing crap away and things like that, which seems to never end. But anyway, let's go ahead and look at this milling machine, or look at these parts. So just got a welded square tube stand underneath it. Still got another piece to go across, but I've got to get some more grinding discs. I've wore out my last one, or pretty much my last big one. So got to do that. It's got my standard feet underneath that I put underneath everything. And just got a cross brace. The only other thing that's going to happen on this stand for the foreseeable future is I'll go ahead and just cut a piece of wood for where the shelf, or to use as a shelf on the bottom when I pull things off of this, while I can set them down there. And I'll probably put a piece of plywood underneath here, just for the same reason, just get it up a little bit easier to work on it there. Got a little bit of a flat surface that I can set stuff on if I need to, tools and things like that. The machine itself, when I originally bought these castings, the base casting, the column casting, and the head were all from the same machine. I think I bought them in a couple of different lots off of Fleabay years and years ago. They were not the MH, although the castings are the same basically. I managed to get all 3 of those castings. The MH parts that are basically distinct to the MH is the knee is different. The cross slide is the same, although I'm finding a couple of things that were machined differently on it. It's got the gear box to rapid advance the table, and it's got the lift. Let me move to the other side here. And it's got the lift mechanism that goes on there. Now the base castings the same basically. There's some things that are different on it. We just have a cover plate that will go on down here. This has got a travel stop screw that goes in here. It's adjustable to set how far you raise and lower the table. And then it still has a standard cross slide. I don't have a nut in there. This is just the arm of it. So anyway, the things I think The table and the knee came from the same machine and the components that came on there. Now I've acquired a couple other parts, and I've got a few more milling machine parts kicking around that I haven't come across yet that are set different places that will get added here as I find them. I had purchased a extra table traverse at some point in time. Now I do find this is machined different than the standard table traverse that we see. And it's with the alignment pins. The cross slide on a standard has an alignment pin that we'll call them a dowel pin. I don't know if they're actually a dowel pin. There's the serrated pin that are driven in and lock it in position before it's bolted down. There's 2 in each one. On a standard gearbox, it's mounted down here on this bottom corner and then on this bottom corner. On both of the gearboxes I have, this one is consistent with the standard, but this one is moved up to the top and in. So both of my gear cases are the same. So I'm going to say that all of the MHs have this offset alignment pin in them, which tells me that if you come across a cross slide that has diagonal pins rather than both of them being on the bottom, why that's going to be specific. That would have come off of an MH. So anyway, this table has been beat up at some point in time. They've machined it out and put steel inserts in here that they've set down with countersink cap screws. I will probably check to see how flat I can get the table, but I'm not going to do any repairs there. That's a good solid repair, even though doesn't look 100% correct and not cosmetically as appealing. That's a good solid repair. I think it was well done, so I'm going to leave it. Got a chip out here on this end of the table. I'm going to have to do something with that. I will probably TIG braze a piece back in there. On the table on my other machine, I had the same problem and I brazed a piece in there. Comes out fine, but I will probably TIG braze that since I have capabilities. Now as I go along with this, we're going to go ahead and scrape all the bearing surfaces, both for elevation adjustment here. And this is going to be very similar. I'm not sure how well it's going to show. Now I do notice there's a lot more wear on the bottom of the column than there is on the top. I can tell just by the amount of stiction we've got as we raise and lower it. But this is going to be very similar to machining a Atlas lathe bed or any flat weight bed. There's been talk about that. A couple of people said, oh, how simple it would be and everything. You're actually machining 6 surfaces on each of these because you've got a top and a bottom and an outer edge on both sides that have to be parallel in alignment. So you've got to correlate all 6 of those surfaces together when you scrape those in. So we'll cover that a little bit when we get there. But anyway, that's going to happen. We'll scrape these all in, see how accurate we can get them. Although the reality is on this small machine like this and even the standard Atlas mill, the work envelope is so small on this that it's not going to be that big an issue. You know, this is one you could probably put it back together, although there is quite a bit of stiction here as we raise and lower it as we get closer to the top. But it spent most of its life in this area down here. So whether that's in the knee assembly that it's different or if it's in the column itself, why, that doesn't really matter. We'll have to figure out what that is, but we'll start measuring those out. And that's part of the reason I put this together, so I can start doing some initial measurements on it. These are the basic bones that I've got for this machine. I do have the proper guard on the back. I picked it up someplace along the way. So I have all of the basic components for the MH machine. Most of the internal parts are the same. Now, there'll be a lot of castings done, like this countershaft bracket. This one was one that I think I got it with another part that I bought at some point in time, or else it was broken in transit, something like that. And I brazed it back together at that time just so I wouldn't lose the pieces. I'll use this one as a pattern or off of my machine as a pattern. My machine both needs a little bit of attention to my other milling machine, but I'll also be disassembling at least parts of it so that I can take some measurements off of some of the other castings. I need, I don't believe I've got a motor mount and things like that that I'll make castings for, and take some dimensions for machine components that I need, because I'm going to machine a spindle for it. There'll be quite a few things that get upgraded. There's still a few parts that I will pick up if I can find them, otherwise we'll do something else. This hand wheel's not, this is somebody's rendition of something, and it's going to get it's going to get changed out. That's not even close to being right. And it actually extends out to where it can interfere with the elevation handle on it. So anyway, that's kind of what we've got. I'm going to move it into the shop and get it situated, and to where I've at least got a little bit of access to it, and we'll probably break it all back down again into its original, or into its base components, and we'll just start building it from the ground up. I'll do the base first, get it sandblasted, cleaned up. Got to build or cast a cover for that. Now that cover will probably just be in aluminum. It has no stress or strain on it. All it does is plug the hole where the elevation screw would normally be on the standard model machine. Before I get too carried away with the column, I will start scraping it and everything, but I want to take measurements before we get that far. I don't know what I'm going to do about paint on this. My original mill has a high-end polyurethane paint that was sprayed on there, and I went ahead, prepped that, and everything got painted at once with a good primer and then polyurethane, because at that time I was still somewhat in the body shop business too when I started that machine. When I did the lathe, I powder coated a lot of things on there. It looks good. I actually like the polyurethane better. It's a slicker finish, it looks nicer, and it's held up exceptionally well for the abuse it's taken over the years. So where I'm probably going to do these a little bit at a time, I will probably go the powder coat route with a lot of it, but I'm not 100% convinced yet. We'll see what develops and how this goes along. So anyway, that's kind of where we're at with it. This is a long-term project. You know, when I do something with this, well, I will try and document it and put it in a playlist there on YouTube, and or we may host this on the website. I'm not sure exactly what we'll do, but chances are these are going to be YouTube videos. So anyway, that's where we're at. Comments, suggestions, leave in the comment section for me below, guys. And as always, thanks for taking the time to watch.